Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Of course, as you can see, I am on the road. And of course, you know what we got to do first when we get on here, and that is share, share, share. All right. So let's get that part out of the way. All right. So please share. Um, okay, we see people getting on here. Perfect. All right. So we won't have the best connection because I'm going to be driving. We could be all in the boondocks as I'm driving. We're going to be in deep boondocks in Trump country. um, so just give me a sec. You know what we do when we first get on here. Give me a sec to share, share, share. Of course, you do the same thing. Use your ad highlight, add followers as you join us, please. Use your ad highlight, add followers. Um, put the chat up on the screen. Let me see how I can do that. Okay. Okay, there we go. So I can see what you're saying. Okay. So the chat overlay is on there. So you're going to see two sets of chat. Just turn off your Facebook chats. You know, you press the little arrow. And so you'll see all the chats from YouTube and everywhere else where people are tuning in, LinkedIn and everywhere else. All right. So, all right. We got a lot of people on here because we're going to have a conversation with transportation. I'm going to be driving the whole time. Bahamian Uber is in trouble. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And we're also going to talk about those immigration officers and what really should have happened there. I'm going to start with the immigration, to get that out of the way. All right, everybody. I think we should be back up. Um, okay, we should be back up now. All right, 9 minutes in. Can't get this together. Okay, I'm on the road, so internet is a little bit freaky. Um, but it looks like it's back up. So, see if- give me a second. To confirm that, you'll keep going. Confirm that. Okay, so it looks like it's up a little bit. So this is going to be a challenge. But anyway, we'll make it happen. We're going to have a discussion today. And this is going to be a call-in show today. Um, so we'll we'll get through it. All right, we'll get through it. Okay. So it looks like okay, yeah. Okay, so we got good sound, not good picture, but we got good sound. And so we're gonna just make it happen. All right. All right. So perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what to do when you get on here. That's uh use your ad highlights and okay, just gonna put that in my ears to make sure I can know whenever we're off air or not getting good sound. All right, so thank you for tuning in. I'm on the road, spending some time with my baby girl. She down there in the back seat hiding. Um, but we're on the road. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's ironic that I have to be driving while we talk about this one. We're gonna be talking about uh the transportation. We're going to be talking about transportation. We're going to be talking about uh, Uber and what's going on in the country. And then we're going to be talking about uh, those immigration officers and why we need to keep them in prayers. All right. So let's get that out of the way. Okay. Sound looks good. It's distracting in my ear. So I got to take that out. All right. Perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, first, foremost, I want to talk about those immigration officers and why we really, really, really need to keep them in prayer. Um, you know, some immigration officers were, and I can't play the video. I'm of course I'm on the road, um, in Florida, spending time with my daughter. Um, but those officers chased a woman or a girl who they said was 17. The people who were talking to her said she's 17, but we don't know that for sure because she didn't have any identification. Um, and she ran into a house that had a voodoo altar in it. Um, the voodoo altar had some, and we gotta have this conversation. This mightn't be a very presidential conversation, but this is what's going on in our country. And if we don't discuss this, um, we could be in problems in our country. We got to stand up. Someone got to stand up for our country and fight. Now, the altar, the voodoo altar, had people's names on it. of course, that's how they do their stuff on people. Um, allegedly, they do the little 1-2 on people. So the immigration officers did a good job by chasing down that lady and catching her. There were persons with Bahamian accents in the house, and there was a voodoo altar in there with all the bottles and all the other stuff. And then people, they'll thief something that belongs to you, like a piece of your hair or a piece of cloth or one brush or comb, whatever belongs to you. And they would do stuff. And that's what they actually witnessed. And the officers, I guess, were in shock that they saw that, but they, like they were supposed to do, arrested that person who was illegal immigrant who had no documentation, job officers. Um, and there were some persons there who were kind of, cheeky. They were standing up to the immigration officers and basically getting a little rude with them. And and the officers stood their ground, and I applaud them for that. And arrested that person. Now, what should have also happened to the officers, again, who did a very good job, I want to commend y'all on that. What also should have happened, in addition to charging persons for harboring and all that other stuff, I saw you bring it up. Good job. Um, what also should have happened in that case was you should have arrested persons for obia. It's in the penal code. Obia is against the law. That's practicing any kind of magic, promising persons you do this or that, doing stuff to hurt people. It's actually in our law books. I heard there was some people on social media saying that, oh, let those people practice their religion. Practicing religion is one thing, but if you do something with a view to hurting someone else, etc., that's a different story. That's not just a religion. And some people say, oh, Christians have that, they just pray. Praying is one thing. But when you start taking people property and doing all the other stuff that happens there, that's not our culture. And we should stand for what is our culture. And we have to stand up for what we want to happen in our country. There are a lot of Haitians that don't believe in voodoo. Um, and they believe, it's wrong, it's not of God. They believe that if you practice it, you're going to lose the person you love most, your favorite child, or whatever you love most. And so that's not all of their culture, that's some of their culture. But I think that the officers should have also questioned them about that and had them charged with that also. This is our nation, and we will determine what happens and what doesn't happen in our nation. It's our job. We will determine that. All right. And no one else is going to determine that for us. It's our country. All right. So, someone says the woman was in, but I can't really see the comments good. So, y'all just excuse me if I can't see it. I'm driving, so I won't be reading that. I'm going to open for calls soon. But we got to decide what we're going to do to with our country. Culture is a very serious thing. And we have to determine what is going to be our culture. And we have to stand up for what is Bahamian culture. And that is that. We have to stand up and save this country. We are being flooded with cultures from all over the world. It's not just Haiti, from cultures from all over the world. And we got to be Bahamian. We got to be Bahamian. And we got to stand up for our one Bahamas. All right? No one should be practicing any voodoo on anybody. And if any Bahamian name was one of those people on the list, you out of order. No Bahamian should be touched by any foreigner in this country in any way. Any way. We got to stand up for Bahamians. We need a different mindset, Bahamians. You got to be proud to be what you are. And you got to stand up and fight for this. We don't have to justify anybody else and their culture. They have a whole country they could practice their culture in. We like Junkanoo, so we have a whole country that we can practice Junkanoo in. It's our country. And if you have Junkanoo Parade, we have Junkanoo Parade. That's ours. Now, we can't force anyone else in their country
to have Junkanoo Parade. And if our Junkanoo offends them, that's their country. But our culture is our culture. Some tourists don't like to eat the fish with the head on it. That's our culture. They don't like to look at the eyes, etc. Sometimes they'll tell the cook, man, take the head off the fish. And for us, that sounds crazy. That tourists don't want to eat the fish with the head on it. Some of them. But imagine you eating a chicken with the head on it. Think about that. Imagine if someone put a chicken on your plate and that's the head on it. That would be strange to you, right? That's how the tourists feel sometimes. But the fish with the head on it, that's our culture. All right. And that's how we serve it in our country. And so I'm a proud Bahamian. And I'm someone who is going to defend this nation. Our children should learn our culture. And I don't believe that someone would just, knowing the situation at the house, break off running into that house just like that. I believe that that was God led. I believe that God led that person to do that so the Bahamian people can see what is going on and be exposed to it and be made aware of what is happening. That is what I believe. And so uh, Bahamians, don't be afraid to stand up for these people. I remember when we started going into the different shanty towns, people were saying to us, um, "Oh, don't go there. They're gonna put voodoo on you and this kind of stuff." Listen, I believe in the one true and living God, and I'm gonna stand up and defend this country against anyone and any God. I believe in the one true and living God, who is Jehovah, my Father. And so for them to tell me I can't go anywhere in my country because of what people could do to me, no, no, no. Let's defend this. Let them do the voodoo, the obeah, whatever that is. Let them send it at me while I stand up for this country. Y'all don't be scared of them, all right? Because I'm not going to be scared of them. It's my country, all right? And I'm not against Haitians. I keep explaining that to people. We only want people to come to the Bahamas the right way. That's all we want. Why is that so much to ask? I don't want anyone to take a job from any Bahamian young man, because when they lose their job, they're gonna have to survive. And if they have to survive, what you expect them to do? They could do what they have to do. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. So when you start to tell the young man don't rob and steal, but you're letting people come and invade your country with their culture and everything else, whether that's the Chinese, the Haitians, or the Americans, whoever that is. No one should do the Mexicans. No one should do nothing in our country the Bahamians can do. And so we need to keep those immigration officers in prayers because they are on the front line, putting themselves at risk for all of us. So we need to keep them in prayers. Officers, very soon, in a few short months, you are going to have a leader who supports you. And make this clear. I'm going to be the Minister of Immigration. You are going to have a leader who supports you, who is going to turn you into a force to reckon with. You are going to have powers that police officers have. You will not have to turn anyone over to the police. You will have those powers to put persons before the courts. You will have your own boats. You will have your own planes. You will have your own drones. You will be as armed and as trained as the police force. You will have powers just like and even better than what ICE have in the United States of America as Immigration and Customs Enforcement. We are going to make you guys as powerful as the police as it comes to immigration officers. You will not have to depend on the defense force to secure our borders. You will secure our borders with your own boats. You will secure our borders. There's going to be integration of some of these agencies so we're more efficient. America decided to do it because it made more sense. Remember when we were growing up, you used to have an immigration line and then a customs line. All right. And they decided to get rid of that. You had an immigration form at one point and a customs form. All right. Which made little sense. And so they decided to have just one form. And then they decided to get rid of the forms. Because that made no sense because the information is in the computer. And so we're going to make this efficient. All right. And so just like they did, I'm not going to announce it yet, but we're going to put some things together. There are some things that immigration, uh, some powers immigrations have, that customs have, that the defense force have, that we need to bring some of these together. Some defense force officers need to be in this body to make sure that we have persons who can sail ships, etc., with experience already. We don't have to train immigration officers. They need to be seconded to this new body. Custom officers is the same way. Immigration officers the same way. All right. And so we're gonna fix this, and you guys are gonna have some serious powers to defend our waters and defend our nation. All right. And so we'll talk about all those stuff at another time. But no one is going to take over our country. No one. We're going to defend this. Like this is all we have. We are surrounded by countries with millions of people. Our neighbors have millions of people. Whether it's Jamaica, whether it's Cuba, whether it's Haiti or the Dominican Republic, our neighbors all have millions of people. We got 200,000 adults. And it's our job to protect this country for our less than 200,000 children. Stand up, man. Stand up. All right. So I just wanted to get it out of the way. You could call in on that later. I'm going to start up this other conversation first, and then we're going to have a call in because now we got to talk about transportation. And it's so amazing. I am driving on the highway right now. Beautiful overpass. I'm driving through. Wish I could let you see it. But why doesn't the Bahamas have these things? Why? Why do we have roundabouts and not overpasses? We'll get to that in another point. So we're going to talk about transportation now and this Uber situation. Let's talk about that. All right. Let's talk about, okay, I got 26 miles on this highway. So yeah, we could get talking. Sorry if I sound distracted. I was because I'm driving while I'm doing this. I get in the fast lane and, and then we're gonna talk. So yeah, so Um, I've seen Facebook, social media going ablaze about conversations about Uber, Bahamian Uber. They call it Uber, but it's really hacking. They call it Uber Lyft in the Bahamas, although it's not really Uber Lyft. And so Bahamian Uber or hacking, uh, and now the government, because recently some definitions were put in our laws, and we didn't even realize that that happened. Some definitions were recent. Remember, they made some changes to the Road Traffic Act recently. And so some definitions were put in there to be able to do this. We all know that hacking is illegal. Um, Hacking that has been going on in the country for a very long time, before I was born. Now all of a sudden it's illegal due to some changes and some definitions that are put in the law. Um, and so I don't think they wanted to discuss that ahead of time, but they've done it. And so now the attack is on for Bahamians. Now, this is my standpoint on that. Every time that there's something that Bahamians could benefit from in our country, there's a pushback from government. It's like they never want us to do anything that we could benefit from. And you got to pay attention to this. Let me give you an example. When Vonage came out, anyone remembers Vonage? Where it was internet calling, where you could just uh, call free because the phone company used to make a lot of money from overseas calls. You know, sometimes you call people and they say, oh, I got to call you back because I'm on an overseas call. And that meant I paying for this, so I don't want to just stop this willy-nilly to talk to you. People sometimes still say it, even though the call is free now, but they still say, oh, I know overseas call. So it doesn't matter because it's free now if you're using WhatsApp or other, the like. Vonage allowed people to do this stuff for free, right? All of a sudden, there was stuff going out from our government and from BTC saying, oh, Vonage is illegal. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get locked up. Remember that? They were threatening persons left, right, and center about Vonage. Oh, it's illegal. You can't do that. And people were actually afraid to get a Vonage because they heard the government say that. There was nothing illegal about it. And if it was, it should not have been. But it was not illegal. But they were scaring people because they didn't want Bahamians being able to have a better way of calling. They wanted to stay stuck on paying a bunch of money for what they call overseas calls. Next, when solar came out, they started putting all over the place that solar is illegal. They even threatened Graham Weatherford with it. Oh, solar is illegal. Only BEC can generate electricity. Only BEC. So solar is illegal. And they started spreading that and trying to scare people with solar. And of course, solar was not illegal. All right. The Electricity Act talked about generators and generating electricity with things that spin, etc. So that would have included things with turbines or things that spin, like windmill, etc. But not solar because nothing spins in solar. And so um, they try to scare people. So again, Bahamians at that point would be able to save money on electricity and benefit our environment. But because they were making money from selling oil to our electricity company, all of a sudden it was ready to drop the hammer on any Bahamian who was doing solar. And so this is how they operate. Now we have a situation, and there were other examples, right? I just gave those two because you might remember them. Now we have a situation where there are persons doing something called Uber, but it's hacking that's been going on for a very long time. Now, Uber is a system in the United States and Lyft where you use a mobile app, you pay on that mobile app with your card, and the drivers are registered and investigated, so we know who the driver is. The user, you know who the user is, because they have an account and they do it on their phone, so you can track who the user is. And they call for a ride and they get a ride. Now, when they came out in the U.S., initially there was pushback. Also, there was pushback um, because they were like, no, 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 you need to be a taxi in order to do this. But then there was a constitutional argument. Not every law is constitutional. So the government can put a law in place, but that don't mean that if that law is challenged, that it's going to stand. That's happened many times, even in our country, where the government did a law and the court said, no, that law is unconstitutional. You got to get rid of that law. All right. So in the United States of America, they challenged Uber. Uber had a lot of lawsuits with the government. There were threats of arrest. There was all kinds of things that went down. In 2010, Uber started. And when they started doing it, some of the states and the cities went crazy after them. And they got in trouble. They got sued. And they won their cases because it's unconstitutional to tell a person that they cannot use their personal vehicle as they want. So here's where the problem comes in. Uber said this is sharing our ride. How are you going to tell me that if I give my friend a ride and tell them that they have to pay me $10 for gas, that that's illegal? How are you going to tell me that? I'm sharing my ride. I have a right to do that. This is my ride. It's the example was used of housing. If I have a house and I want to rent my house to someone, how are you going to tell me it's illegal for me to rent my house to someone? I'm not a hotel. I don't come under your regulations for your hotel. This is my house. And I want to rent this to who I want to rent this to. And so that was the argument. And the argument was accepted that, you know what? That's your constitutional right. If you have a house, you have a car, you want to give someone a ride and you want to tell them they got to compensate you, and so be it. And so Uber, a lot of states had locked them down and put certain things in place, and they had to change it. What the reverse happened in that the state stuff in place, we are actually safer than taxis. We're safer than taxis because the driver doesn't know who this customer is. Anyone can call. And when that person sits in a taxi, they can kill the taxi driver, rob the taxi driver, and we can track this ride so that we know exactly what happens. This is a better situation for the robberies and the murders, etc., that started to happen. And so, uh, if you want, want to do something, just regulators tell us what you want. In place that were already there, so they didn't even really need a lot of those. Now, they're able to operate, and in the U.S., what happened was the states, because they wanted to regulate them, now they had to put things in place for them. So if you go to the airport, and many airports, they have a section just for Ubers. Okay, I recently went to New York, and when I got off, there's a waiting area just for Ubers. Like you have a, all right. Now you don't go to their car and like you could walk up to a taxi or the call up system, but you go in your app, you book the Uber, and the Uber is already out there, and they tell you which slot to go to, slot E1. You go to slot E1, and your Uber is there, or they put up there. And so they had to put stuff in place for try to kill them. They the law work for the public. They didn't try to stop them. So there's now a taxi area and there's an Uber area. And every major airport or hotel you go to now in the US, that is the case because they don't want to hold back progress. Okay. And now it gets to the point where some taxi companies are now using an app in order to keep up with what's going on. Instead of trying to kill something that could be beneficial, they decided that we would put stuff in place to make this more efficient and more effective. Okay? And so that brings us back to the Bahamas. In the Bahamas now, they are talking about uh, killing this thing called hacking. I think what should happen is it should be regulated. It's simple as that. Now, these hackers are providing a service for Bahamians who have lost services that they need. The transportation industry in the Bahamas is inefficient. Our busing system is garbage. We have no monorails, no tri-rails, no train system, nothing. We've lost Meter Cab, which was run by Mr. Cawley and Mr. Crawley back in the day, former police officers, who ran that. Some people call it Yellow Cab, but it was Meter Cab. And my daddy was a Meter Cab driver, so that's why I am very sensitive to taxi drivers. My daddy was a taxi driver. I used to drive in a taxi with him all day, so I knew exactly what they go through and what they feel. That's why I always fight for the taxi drivers when I get a chance, or whenever they call me. I only fight for people who call me and go looking for stuff. So the Meter Cab is gone. And so there are Bahamians who don't have a car because the government made cars expensive. Okay, we back up. So sorry about that. I'm on the road, so as I drive, this thing is gonna be going up and down. Um, yeah, this is gonna be going up and down. So, uh, yeah, so we'll keep going and see how it works. All right. So I saw that I was choppy for a lot of that. Um, yes, we gotta put the earbuds in our ears and make sure to see if it's choppy or not, so we can know exactly what's going on. I had to pull over to try to get this straight, so now I got to get back on the highway. So what I was saying was that vehicles in the Bahamas is very expensive, and the government made it that way because they charge a lot of a high custom duty. So paying 20% on a T-shirt is nothing for customs duty. Um, Gotta put the phone down. Yeah, paying 20% is nothing for customs duty. Um, but paying 50% on a car that costs $10,000, that's a lot of money. The government did that. So if you're going to charge people a lot of money for cars, and on top of that, what they did was make it so that you couldn't bring in a car that's over 10 years old. So for persons who wanted to buy an older car, and there's some good cars that's over 10 years old, but that was the benefit the oligarchs who run the car companies in the Bahamas. And so, but it made it more expensive to get a car. So a lot of people have to go to the hospital or get from the hospital. The ambulance will bring you to the hospital, but they will not bring you home. All right. And so people have to go to A&E. They need a ride. Hackers were out there. People go to the food store. They need a ride. They have a lot of bags. Hackers are out there. Buses don't go to every corner. So if you have a certain amount of bags, you can't really catch a bus from the food store. Some people have to go to the laundry. They need a car. They have no one. So they get hackers to do that. And so taxis in the Bahamas stop servicing regular homes. So this is a different market. All right. And so taxi drivers, you can't pick up the phone and call, meet a cab like you used to back in the day. And so that is done. And so that's a market that is a need. Just like the government subsidizes mailboats because you need to make sure that the islands are connected. So the government subsidizes mailboats. They subsidize Bahamas Air because you need to make sure the islands are connected. Likewise, we should make sure within the islands that people can move around properly because a nation cannot be effective if you don't have good transportation and good roads to put the transportation on. By the way, road works is going to move from the Ministry of Works to the Ministry of Transportation in the New Bahamas. All right, that's in our vision. But you have to make sure that these people that the public can get around. Otherwise, we can't be effective. The country's going to slow down. You can't get nothing done. It doesn't make sense. We need people who are going to be in government thinking about how they can make things better every day for Bahamians, not constantly. Every time they come to power, there's a new rule. You can't do this, you can't do that. You can't do this, you can't do the next thing. Nothing to empower Bahamians. When is the last time you've heard a law to really empower Bahamians? Think about it. It's, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Restrictions like we're in slaves. No doing this anymore, no doing that anymore, no doing this. And it's every time there's no, no, no. You can't do this, you can't do that. And nothing to really empower us. What about what we can do? What about empowering us to do? And so um, now the Uber driver, it needs to be regulated. So I don't think that they're competing with the taxi drivers. There's some people who say, oh, they go to the airport. No, the police can enforce that very easily. The hotels, the police and the officers in the hotel area can enforce that very easily. I don't think it's a problem, much of a problem with hackers. And I stand to be corrected. When I open the phone lines, you can let me know. I don't think it's a problem with hackers at the airport, etc. Some people say the taxi drivers had to call, had to stand up at the airport the other day. That was not for hackers. That was for delivery drivers who also have a right to be at the airport. But the taxi drivers' complaint was only taxis can fly for hire, meaning solicit hire. All right. And so that's why the taxi drivers of delivery drivers going and I have to speak to delivery drivers when I get back. They had their side of things, but the taxi drivers expressed their concern that only them is supposed to fly for hire. And so that's what they were angry about, not the hackers. All right. So now, do we abandon the general public who has a need, who needs to get to the food store and from the food store, who need to get to the laundromat, who need to get from the hospital and other places? Do we leave them to their own devices in our country? Do we do that? Or do we see that Bahamians have been innovative and they have found a way to make this thing work? So what do we do? Just regulate it. Let me show you how crazy this whole thing is. And I hope my thing is still good. Um, all right, let me show how crazy this whole thing is. They're now talking about, oh, how we need to regulate the hackers, right? You know, the construction industry is not regulated. You know, the construction association was asking for years and years, for decades, to be regulated. How is it that you could regulate the architects? They have an Architects Act, Professional Architect Act, what it's called. You regulate the architects who draw the plans, but didn't want to regulate the construction companies who build the building from the plan? Tell me how backwards our country is. They were fighting for years and years to be regulated, so that you don't have those issues like what even government goes through, where they build a low cost home and the floor sinking and the roof collapsing and all kind of funny things happening, the plumbing out of whack. They build buildings and the roof falling down on the government. And it's the construction workers, companies, who are begging government to regulate. So you didn't see a need to regulate that. That's life and death. But now all of a sudden, we must attack these people who are providing a service for someone else. Okay. So with that out of the way, I agree it should be regulated. And I can't see a comment, so I'm sorry if I'm not responding to that. I agree that it should be regulated. All right. But uh, all we need to do is provide a system for them. And I can build app like Uber in a few days. I can do that with my eyes closed. That's what I do. In fact, I started to build someone who was interested in the business, but I think they got scared because of regulations and that kind of stuff. I don't know. But in fact, I've already built one and it's sitting there because I built it for that client, but they didn't go through with it. But an app like that is nothing. In fact, someone had started one. Someone did one already, and they stopped. Someone that was actually out there, just like how what do you call it, Craven is out there where you order the food. Someone had done a app for taxi, and they had mostly had taxi drivers because of the same fear of the law. They had sorry, I missed my turn because of their fear of the law. They had taxi drivers doing the pickups, but they said a lot of times the taxis would would not show up to pick the persons up. They would or there would be some issue. All right, and so the taxis weren't interested in going door to door to regular people, and so I guess maybe it was smaller money or etc. Because if you're picking up someone from the food store to carry them around the corner to their house, that how much money is in that, and so that's taxi drivers lost interest, and then it's kind of dangerous for them dealing with, I guess, regular people, and so uh, that killed the industry. But someone did try it with stuff just like Uber with the app, etc. You paid online, etc. It was very good, but it didn't last. I guess because of the same nonsense about having it to be regulated. Bahamians, we always want to think whatever government say, we just gonna abide by that. Now, sorry if I sound distracted. Like I said, I'm driving and talking. So all we have to do is make sure our app is set up. For Bahamian, this is a good thing to be into. Government, remove your laws that are confusing the people because there are loopholes in that law. Let's talk about that law now, and then I'll get back to this opportunity for Bahamians. Um, the law has loopholes, so they put in the law now where if you're if you're offering for hire, if you cannot carry passengers for pay or reward. All right, you cannot carry passengers for pay or reward. All right, um, unless you're a taxi or livery, et cetera, et cetera. Right, and so that's the law that they have in there now, and they describe what carrying someone for pay or reward is. Now, uh, carrying someone for pay or reward. So in there, they had to define because when you make a law, it affects not just what you think. This doesn't say it describes the thing so that you can't do the thing. Passengers for pay or reward. All right. And so what does that mean? They had to go in there and say, okay, hotels that pick up persons, their passengers from the airport, etc. So if you come us and you some hotel pick you up, they have a car, a curtain, etc., and they will pick you up. But that is also for reward because the hotel is getting paid, and that is included. The ride is included as a part of your service, and so legally, so that would make it illegal for the hotel to pick up someone, even if they're not paying for the ride itself. That was included because they say any part or any inclusion or whatever. They just define it so broadly that they could cover everything. So in there, they had to put a caveat that the minister can make provisions, or the controller can make provisions to allow temporary to allow hotels. So the hotel would have to apply so that they wouldn't be breaking the law by picking up their passengers from the airport to bring them to the hotel because that is for reward. That is so mind-numbing to do that. So uh, that takes us to this. If if a hotel picking up the passenger, they don't pay for the ride, they but the hotel picks them up. So that's considered uh, carrying passengers for reward. What about the church bus? The church bus picks up passengers, takes them to church, and the persons give a reward to the church, not for the ride, but for being a part or a member of that church. And so now you have another definition you have to think about. And so I don't think they thought this whole thing through. And this is legal, what they call jurisprudence, where you have to understand everything surrounding a law when you pass it, so that the law isn't prohibitive. Um, so that's ridiculous. A similar situation to this was when in America they decided to make gambling illegal. The Yeah, they decided to make the numbers thing illegal because there was number rackets everywhere, and they wanted to do a lottery, so they decided to make the whole thing illegal. What that did was that affected insurance companies, and they had to say, oh, uh, if you pay someone to get a reward later based on a future result, that's how they defined it. If you give someone money to be possibly rewarded based on a future result, they did it vaguely, then uh, that would be illegal now. And so gambling was then made illegal unless you got, exemption to register, etc. But that included insurance companies. So they were like, oh my God, we just made insurance illegal because you pay money, and the money you pay is for a possible future result. All right, because you're risking and that result may or may not happen. And so they had to go in there and make a caveat and change that law to now say that if you had an interest in that future result, that all right, um, So, for example, if you bet on a horse race, you have no interest in that, but you have an interest in being alive, and so if you and you have interest in being healthy, so that would cover insurance companies. So this is how jurisprudence and law works. It's very funny. But back to our idiotic law. All we had to do instead of going and putting that law there just to control the taxi industry was put under control uh, for political purposes because to control it again. Okay, sorry, we lost it for a second just now. And we might be getting choppy because I'm going into the boondocks. Um, Taxi drivers were the only persons who were really independent back in those days. All right. They were entrepreneurs. They didn't depend on government. So they could come out and protest, and you saw the taxi drivers would always lead these protests. And so they wanted to control them. The musicians were also like that. So under the UBP, and push them. But when the black government took over, to make sure they control who were independent, the musicians were really cut down. And the taxi driver, they made sure they controlled who get a taxi plate, and it would be mostly people loyal to them to make sure that you can't really go there and protest, etc. All right, so that's a deep part of it. I'll expand on that more if you want to, but I want to open the phone line soon. So all we have to do is regulate this thing. All right, change those stupid regulations. Since the taxi drivers are not catering to this area anymore of dealing with the locals, let locals be able to register and do this. Um, set up a mobile app. I'm willing to assist the government with that, but because there are other loopholes in there, like the self-driving part of it. I won't get into all of it right now. It leaves a lot of loopholes in there. But anyway, let's fix this problem, man. We need a government that's going to be looking for solutions. So let's set up a mobile app. It can be done very easily. Like I said, someone has done it before. And the taxi union was actually, Mr. Ferguson was actually trying to get this done, but they haven't been able to get it done. I don't know what happened with that. I know the person who was building the app for them, but it hasn't been launched yet. But this is something that we need to get done. In the meantime, uh, uh, we need to make sure that people have access to this service and that persons who are surviving off of this, if we don't take bread out of their mouth for any stupid reason. All right, we need to fix this. And so this is a major problem, and so we need a solution. And the solution is let's allow a Bahamian to build this. Let's change, go and modify that law um, to allow for Uber, etc. And let's get this done. Let's make sure that you don't go hacking by the airport. If you want to exclude the hotels, etc., then fine. But Bahamians need a ride, and Bahamians who have their cars and want to be able to afford to keep their car, to pay their car notes, to pay the bank, etc. Boondocks again. This in the back of nowhere. And so, for a second, while I have internet, because I think if I drive any further, I am definitely gonna keep losing internet. So let me just pull over. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Um. All right. All right. So I can't see my screen. So don't judge me. Let me just plug this in so I can't even tell if the phone is saying dies, no? Just give me a sec. Okay, so I hope I was making sense to all of you, and I hope I helped you understand this thing a little bit better. I was trying to speed through it. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the phone line so you could become a part of this conversation about the Ubers, the taxis, and all this kind of stuff. if there's some stuff that I miss or a different opinion, you're welcome to bring those opinions. You have to WhatsApp call because I'm using the phone for regular call, so I can't take a regular call on this. Only WhatsApp. So the phone line is open. 803-5995 is the number. 803-5995. Sorry, I can't even see my screen to really fix that. Put it on the screen for you. 803, I'll keep repeating it. 803-5995 is the number. Call in and tell me what you think about the first thing we were talking about immigration and the situation with these immigration officers. And also tell me what you think about, I don't know if I shared this. I shared. Tell me what you think about this transportation thing. So I'll wait for you to put in your beat. Okay, sure. On your live. I am alive. Mhm. Yeah, I, I just want to add this while you're saying that. I don't want anyone to think that these governments care for taxi drivers. We've constantly had to fight for taxi drivers in this country, and it is shameful. And so I don't want to play like they care about taxi drivers now as it relates to the hackers, et cetera, because they've never cared about the hackers before, and they've never cared about the taxi drivers before. And I'm hearing now that the police are still going out there and abusing, arresting, etc. taxi drivers who are out there trying to solicit when the law says that they're allowed to apply for hire, which means solicit. Um, right, but no, this isn't the taxi drivers that they're squeezing out in this instance. They're squeezing out the hackers, those persons who are not taxi drivers who are offering for hire. All right, so that's what this one is affecting. All right, so yeah, you are DNA. But what are you now? Okay, smart lady. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you for your call. And so, right. And so the solution that we're talking about won't be Uber. We don't need a foreign company to come in and do what we're talking about. What we're saying is that a Bahamian can actually do this, and the government can make sure that they regulate it to make sure that it's good. Make sure that the insurance companies insure, etc., to make sure everything is covered. All right, to make sure that the people are safe and this good solution is there. And guess what? Taxi drivers can also participate in the Uber if they want to. They can also, I'm just calling it Uber, of course, because people know what that means. Taxi drivers can also, I'll say ride share app, participate in this ride share app. They can also can register on it, and the problem will be solved. You can make it so that the app doesn't um, allow pickups from the airport if you don't want to affect what taxi drivers are dealing with now, and don't allow for pickups from the hotel. The app can be programmed to do just that. Um, that's a small thing, and so, but it must be done. All right. So, but it seems like every time a Bahamian can benefit, or there's something to make it easy for Bahamians, they find a way to just abuse Bahamians. And this is what we have to really fight against in this country, and we got to stand up. All right. And so, all right. So 8035995 is the number. 803, you have to WhatsApp call. I can't take the regular calls. 8035995. But these comments are pretty dim on here. Yeah, 8035995 is the number. 8035995. And so onto the bus and what we were talking about, as a part of this. We need a proper transit system, a proper transport system. The people should have their freedom of movement, and that should be encouraged. All right. And so, in terms of the freedom of movement, um, people should have a proper busing system. Uh, they have electric buses in the States now that reduces the cost of fuel. And if you power them with a renewable energy, your cost of fuel goes away, your cost of maintenance goes away, because electric vehicles don't have the maintenance that regular vehicles have, and so you won't have the water pumps and the belts and timing belts and all this kind of stuff. You can operate properly. And if you fix the roads properly, then you don't have to worry about the shocks, being damaged and the arms and the CV joint and all this kind of stuff. But we need a proper busing system, and I want all of you to go to our website and look for our plan, look for our vision for transportation, transport and aviation. And so we're going to take back this busing system. These people who are complaining that, oh, with the busing system, it seems like a race all the time, and all the complaints they have. Well, we're going to take over that busing system. We're going to make those. We're going to make sure that those who own the buses now are not disenfranchised. How are we going to do that? Um, we are going to we're going to we're going to acquire their buses. So for every bus and plate that they have, we are going to give them one share in the company. All right, they can buy more shares if they want. They're going to partner with our sovereign wealth fund, with our government, and so they're going to get automatic shares in this. So now they're going to be making money and not have to worry about the maintenance. They're going to make pure profit. All right. They don't have to worry about the headaches and all that they have. So we're gonna take that from them. They're gonna continue to make money. It's a better system. All right. So the question is, do you want 100% of the small system that you have, or do you want a smaller percentage of this big conglomerate that we're gonna build for transportation in the nation? And you're gonna automatically get a piece of that pie. So this is the solution. And so we're going to take their buses, we're going to sell them off as we bring in the new buses. And so as we bring in new buses, the big buses that can host the disabled, that bicycles on the front,
And they're electric bikes, so we reduce cost. So the cost of transportation is going to go down for us now because we're going to use solar to power these buses. But the cost of transportation is going to go down, so you're going to pay less to move around. Now that it's going to be less cost to maintain these buses, etc. The buses can now it's now economical for the buses to go into areas where they didn't before. So instead of on Carmichael Road, the bus stopping at Bacardi Road, now it can go even further and grab our people in Adelaide and make sure that they have access to the proper busing system. And so the buses can go more places to make sure that people are not disenfranchised. And so that's how, we change the game. And so now we're going to have the proper buses that can go further. And all of this is in our plans already that we release on March 1st system. The people who are in it now will not be disenfranchised. They will now become owners. We're going to invest heavily in this to make sure that they can can um uh, can be the entrepreneurs, and now they can focus on something else, or they can partner with us, become a part of the running of this because they have the experience in certain things. We're going to make sure that bus drivers get a salary so that they don't have to be hustling. Um, they don't have to race and speed and get themselves in trouble. So this is a solution that we are talking about. All right. So the phone line again, only WhatsApp call. The phone line is 803-5995. It's very difficult for me to see your comment in real time because of no, that won't work. I can see it on my other phone, but the comment won't be live. All right. But this is how we're going to make sure that we properly monetize the busing system. All right. We just need the government with solutions. All right. I hear, thing going around now who's qualified, Grave Davis, Lincoln Bain, or Michael Pintard, qualified. These people who have been in office, none of them are qualified. I don't care what their qualifications is. I don't care what they've done before. I don't care how much awards they have or how much Queen's honors they have. They have failed because we have a transport system that is broken, a busing system that's broken, taxi system broken. We have a healthcare system broken. Our Ministry of Works is broken. We can't get proper roads, even though we're paying for licenses every year. And they're going to book you and now take your car if your license ain't paid. But why, if my license is paid, I can't get a proper road to drive on? Why, every time I pay for gas, that's supposed to go to making sure we have proper roads, why I can't get a proper road to drive on? But nothing is working. So this is not about who qualified and who ain't qualified. In fact, my bio is right on our website on coalitionofindependence.com, and I'll compare it to anyone's bio. You line me up with those are the two guys, everything outside of politics, and tell me what their accomplishment was outside of politics or from political connections. You line up their qualifications. And I'm saying this humbly, but this is just for because now they're paying their trolls to put this out there, so I have to respond to this. All right, these trolls don't speak on their own because they have to make sure they don't get in no trouble. They are being paid to put these questions out there. So I will say, what are their qualifications? Michael Pintard, I saw him finally put some stuff out there, which is confusing. He is basically trying to take credit for stuff that Minnis did. And I saw that in the thing that he put out. He said he did this particular thing, but when you read the article, when you click on it, it goes to the article that says that Dr. Minnis did this, but he's trying to take credit. He said they were doing some project, agricultural project. He was trying to take credit for it, but when you click on it, it said that Dr. Minnis did this. And so outside of politics, I noticed that he never showed any business that he has run. That's curious. Not even failed at. I'll take a person who's failed at business because the experience you get from failing is phenomenal. Um, Michael Pinto, can't say one business he failed in, but we know about one business he did try, but there's a reason he doesn't want to mention it to the public. It was a an online business which was an online auction. People feel like they were like it was this kind of a scam, an online auction. All right. But he never mentions that. And so maybe he should tell us about that. but he hasn't run any business or anything like that. And so he's in trouble on that side. The deputy leader, and so they are kind of stuck in terms of persons with a life experience. And then you have Philip Brave Davis. And so, um, in terms of qualifications, anyone in the FNM, anyone in the PLP should not even hold up their head. Because if you're saying you qualify, that's like having a black belt, but letting a 12-year-old girl beat you up. Think about that. If someone says they qualify to be a contractor, I want you to understand this. If someone says they're qualified to be a contractor, building contractor to build buildings, but every building they built crumbled, didn't work, plumbing was bad, nothing good, they failed in every attempt, are they really qualified? Despite they might have a degree, despite they've built a lot of buildings, all the buildings are garbage, are they really qualified? And that takes me back to the PLP and FNM. Nothing in our country is working. Nothing. How are you qualified with that hospital? You are your work. The PLP and FNM had a job to do. We paid them to run the Ministry of Health over and repeatedly. You couldn't build one hospital? And you say you qualified? If I pay you to do something and you don't do it, how are you qualified? Not one hospital? Not one? The UBB built the last hospital 70 years ago? Not one? But you qualified? We can't get our roads in order. The road's still flooding. We've provided the solution. They've been had the solution. But all it takes is $10 million to fix it. But they wouldn't do that. But they qualified. Think about that. Does that make sense to any of you? Our educational system is a D average. We are paying them. You paid every minister of education, every cabinet, you paid them 6 figures every time. You paid them. Fix that, but they qualified. You're talking about qualifications? Your qualification is your work experience. What did you do? So I don't care if you've been to Harvard and Yale, if when I hire you, you can't get the job done, you are not qualified. Think about that. Think about that. You can't get crime in order and I'm paying you for that. How are you qualified? No one who has ever been in cabinet under the present Bahamas, which we'll call the old Bahamas, no one who's ever been in cabinet is qualified. We paid you to get agriculture together. You can't grow lettuce, which we eat. All the wetlands have. You can't grow rice. Rice grows like weed. Just put them in a damn place. They grow rice like weed in China. All the rice we eat, you can't grow rice? No, but you qualify. You spent $60 million in the beginning to open Bamsi. You grow $60 million worth of fruits yet, all these years later. You can't get Bamsi together. Pintard was Minister of Agriculture. What he did with Bamsi? The cabbage died. The tilapia grow like weed. Yes, that's a fish. They like pot cake. You have to do nothing with them. You can grow tilapia? Qualified? The same dealing with their personal business, because that's what they like to do. They like to attack persons personally. We're not talking about that. We are talking about the PLE or the F&M. So I'm gonna wait. I know they got some trolls on here watching this. There's about 1,200 people on here across the different platforms. Someone tell me what qualifies the PLP or F&M. Not just the leadership, the whole party. Someone tell me what qualifies them. Tell me. I'll wait. 803-5995. Someone put that in the text because I can't see the screen to put it up there for you. Someone put it in the text. In fact, I probably could pin it. All right, someone please tell me. I'm waiting. What area, except for tax collection, which area of the Bahamas works? Tell me. What area? Which area are we excelling in? Tell me. Okay, no one? None of the trolls? So when the trolls go in the groups and they start talking about who qualified and who ain't qualified, let's show them how unqualified the PLP and F&M are. You only have to look around, Look at Grand Bahama. They have a whole ministry for Grand Bahama. And look at it. You got a ministry for Grand Bahama and look at it. Agriculture, growing stuff. We got 700 islands in 2 temperature zones, tropical and temperate. We can grow anything they could grow anywhere in the world. Anything. We got 700 islands, over 2,000 keys. And we can't grow food. We can't even grow pig and cow. Goat. We can't be the mutton capital of the world. Goat grow themselves. You give them some weed and they eat that and keep that grass low. We can't grow mutton. We can't grow sheep. We just gotta make sure they don't get in trouble. No wolf eat them. We ain't got a wolf. We don't have no prey for the sheep. We can't grow sheep. Why did y'all kill Long Island sheep industry? The Haitians are now bringing salt out of Exuma, your natural resource. While they're telling you we have no natural resources, the Haitians are selling salt out of Exuma. But they won't tell you we selling dreams. Police officers had to stop. The Haitians was trying to take a pallet of salt, put it on the boat to bring to Nassau. Let me go up. A pallet, a whole pallet. And the police stopped them and confiscated it. Thank you to those patriotic officers. Our natural resources belong to us. And no one will touch our natural resources. That takes us to the other part of the world. In Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore has already brought in the busing system to bring transportation. They're already paving their roads, their dirt roads. He's paving the road. Paid off their over $4 billion debt. Paid it off. Boom. Making sure that their people benefit from their country. Using their natural resources, their gold, their cobalts, and everything else that they have. Would be selling dreams. We want a Bahama where Bahamians are first. and where we benefit from what is ours and we partner with everyone else. We want, Faso. They're now growing tomatoes and making tomato paste, not just the raw material. They are processing it. They're making tomato paste, big factory. They are now doing solar because they have a lot of space. They are now creating so much energy that they are selling electricity to their neighbors. Didn't you hear me from 2021 before they were doing what they're doing? Didn't you hear me saying that this is what we're going to do? We're going to go into the solar industry using the carbon credits to pay for it and sell electricity to our neighbors, all of whom have electricity started. But I was selling dreams. But now a little African nation is doing it. They increased their GDP to $22 billion. $22 billion. But we can't do it. No, just keep letting the politicians talk about fixing potholes, which they never do. But they could build one bridge, they could build school, they could build houses. They mean literally damn, they could build it because they can make money from it, our homes. So that's the conversation we must continue to have instead of building a nation that benefits all of us. Okay, someone working. Good afternoon, you're live. Good afternoon, Mr. Bear. How you doing? Good afternoon. Just Mr. Bear. The thing about it is, that gentleman that became a so he did that in 3 years. Yes. And we can have this country in 51 years. The man did that in 3 years. Wow. In the Bahamas, they spend the first 3 years just talking about what the previous government didn't do and why they can't do what they promised, and they do nothing. Right. Right. Exactly. That's the only thing they spend time talking about who people this and who people that, and that man spent his 3 years buying you for 300 ambulance, which you can do surgery. Yep. A surgery in them ambulance. He done buy over 300 tractors for them guys who farming. He building houses for his people there. And only the PSB there for them tools, everything. It only can come underneath them after 51 years. Anyhow, Mr. Mayor, I'll sit down, finish the down, and listen. I'm right there talking on. Thank you, man. Continue on. And that's good. We're going to fight with you for this country. Take this country back. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yes, this is our country. Amen. Well, we are going to take this country back, and we're going to have a government with vision. There are so many Bahamians from around the world who want to come home, but none to come home too. We're going to build a country that they can build. Look at our plan, a vision for entrepreneurs. I'm talking to people from the United States right now, Bahamians who want to come home. We're going to give them an incentive to come home. They have experience. They are building major companies and corporations. They are building other nations when they could be building ours. But when they come here, they chase them away because they don't want anyone with any new ideas to come because the oligarchs are afraid. They're afraid that you're going to replace them. They want barriers to entry. But they use the laws to do it. To keep us poor so that they could stay rich. That they could build their generational wealth. But we are going to take this country back. There's enough for all of us to benefit. Every Bahamian. That is not a dream. We're going to make that a reality. Now, if y'all just like what you're getting, complaining every 5 years, then listen, man, let them tell you, don't listen to Lincoln being them, although they can never show you what anything that we have said is false. Doesn't that concern you? Doesn't everything that we are saying, everything that we presented to you from we started is being done in other countries. There's nothing that we are saying that is a dream. Everything that we've said to you is reality, but it's a reality for other people in other nations. Why can't we do it? Why must we continue to be beggars in our nation? Why? Okay, I see someone trying to call on the regular line. The only WhatsApp calls we can take today because we're actually broadcasting on the phone that's for the regular line. So call on WhatsApp call. 803-5995 is the number. You got a WhatsApp call. So I see that person doing a regular call. So I hope you got some data or you're with Wi-Fi. All right. Um, so they're talking about we need to regulate um we were talking about that earlier. They need to regulate the hackers all of a sudden, the Uber, etc. Um, when they got a whole unregulated community of people living in our country that they don't want to focus on. Regulate? I call you live.
Good afternoon, my president.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I am great. I must say, at least one of the gentlemen in my area was adamant about the COI. This morning when I went by the shop, he's like, boy, you COI, you all ain't never stop working.
Hmm.
I am finally seeing the picture that the COI is going to get in because you guys never stop. I said this was a revolution. He said, and the way we were going, he just prayed hope the Bahamians come on board.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's sad. This morning alone, I count 5 new illegal in my area. Just this morning,
What?
5 new faces.
Wow.
So right now, I have lost count. Right now, it's probably about 50 plus in this area. Another 5 plex was owned by Bahamian, but God rest her soul. She has since passed away. That was going for 390,000, owned now by Haitian. A 5 plex. They's be drilling and doing work all hours of the night. I say in the New Bahamas, only the Bahamians have to benefit. All foreigners, they're gonna have to pay taxes if they want to have our land. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad. There's so much wealth in our country, and people cannot see that we are millionaires. This company has the Bahamas, these people have stagnated us as far as our wealth is concerned. A friend of mine is from Jamaica. She lives in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
She makes over $700,000 a month trading.
Yep.
From Jamaica.
Yep.
$780,000 she cashed in March with an investment of 70 grand. You do that in the Bahamas, you lock up. Have to be money laundering, have to be this, have to be the
You
that.
can't do anything in the Bahamas that you could make wealth from. They don't want you trading on the stock market. They don't want you trading Forex. They don't want you doing Bitcoin. They don't want you doing nothing that you could benefit from. And Bahamians just accept that. Only in the Bahamas. I talk to foreigners and they're like, no, man, that can't be the rules in the Bahamas. Like, yeah. They will make it so difficult.
They say, Mona, you lying.
Yeah.
They say, Mona, you lying. An investment of 70 grand. She made $780,000 in 1 month. Homegirl living in Colorado Springs from Jamaica. Another friend of mine, he lives in Orlando with the same platform. He's make $1 million a month in trading.
Yeah.
From 2017, they blocked us from buying Bitcoins with our credit card.
Yeah.
But they don't have the vision to know that we are rich and there are millions being made all around the world.
Well, we're going to be the Bitcoin capital of the world. You don't have to worry about that. As soon as the COI get in, we're going to be the cryptocurrency capital of the world. We're already talking to the professionals in the industry, sitting with them, visiting with them. We already drafted the policy, so we're ready to go from day one. We're going to transform this.
Well, I waiting. I gathering up my Bitcoins. I waiting.
Yeah.
All right, then. Tell my Bahamian people, y'all get on board.
Yeah, man. And so, America has decided that it's going to go into Bitcoin. If it goes up and down, just bear with me till it comes back up because I'm driving through the boondocks. This beautiful rural area. Um, America is buying 200,000 bitcoins a year for 5 years, a million Bitcoin to go along with the Bitcoin's ease, the FBI's ease. They're going to use it to pay off their debt. All right. That's brilliant. We're going to be the Bitcoin capital of the world. We're going to do some things with that. But anyway, I won't let the cat out of the bag of what we're actually dealing with. All right. So, man, this is beautiful. I wish I could turn this camera and let you all see this. But this is beautiful. Trees are hanging over the road. Let's give me a second. I don't know where to go. Recenter. Okay. All right. All right. I came to a crossroad just now. Yeah, and so she brought up land and that kind of stuff. In the Bahamas, we don't own land. There's only 200,000 of us, 700 islands, and 2,000 keys, and you don't own a land in the Bahamas. What do I mean? You don't own land because you are supposed to pay taxes on those lands. If the country belongs to us, why should we have to pay taxes on land? That's why we're getting rid of property taxes for Bahamians, for your personal property where you live. Because you'll never own a home. Because at some point, even though they could give you a credit and say, okay, if your home is valued a small amount, meaning if you're poor, you got a small, then in other words, stay there. Where they want all Bahamians to be. You stay where you only have a house value 250 grand or less. But you should not have to pay for property tax. And so we're going to get rid of that for Bahamians. So Bahamian will not pay property tax for their house. No, there should not be a risk where you have to lose your house or your children inherit the house and they can't um, really do anything because property taxes are. No, we're going to change all that. All right. And so we have a vision for this nation. And so we need you to spread the message. Once you be a part of this, sponsor the organization. You got to donate to this. Every political party in the world. Some people say, oh, the COI broke. Every party is broke. In fact, we are the richest political party because we have zero debt. We don't owe anyone, all right, outside of our party. After every election, what do you hear? PLPO 5 million in debt. The FM $3 million in debt. They got legacy debt. Yeah, Pinta talking about it. Minister was talking about it when he got there. He met $3 million in debt. He's trying to now. If you're also rich, how come you all got debt? They will owe ZNS, etc. All kinds of money, hundreds of thousands or millions, whatever it is. But when we go to ZNS say we got to pay up front. When we went to ZNS the other day, ZNS said, yeah, there's thousands of dollars. You all got to pay up front. You see the difference? All they got is credit because they run the country together. So next thing is, people were sending this picture around of the FNMs and PLPs together in the picture. Listen, man, I don't want you all to be surprised. They said some people were saying that is unity. Unity what? Taking a picture one is not unity, but they are unified. They are in this together. They're working together. But that is not an expression of unity because those same people, the bigwigs, the politicians allowed to be unified. But let them see you taking picture with another party. Let them see you go to an event of another party. Unity where? They will crush you. They will victimize you. They will take what you have, take your little contract. There's no unity. They do business together. Let them hear you doing business with someone from the opposite party. But they do business together. They are each other's godparents of their children. They intermarry with each other. They're allowed to do that. But you, the plebs who pay for their lifestyle, all you're supposed to do is suffer. And you are not allowed to be united. The division in this country is not the people, it's them. They are unified and they keep you divided. And the stable of these horses is beautiful. They are unified and they keep you divided. Because whoever is unified will always win, will always be on top. And so they keep you ununified. So if you allow foreigners to come in your country and they are unified, they can take the country over eventually. You are divided and they are unified. Your country will be yours for too long. That's a biblical principle, right? Biblical principle. I hope I got to all of you. All right. So again, I can't see your comments, and so I could only take calls today. But I'm gonna end it there, so I could enjoy uh, the rest of the day with my family. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna continue to do our walkabouts. You can go into our headquarters in Pinewood, and you can pay uh, your dues if you're a member, or you can sponsor the organization, um, or you can just go online to our website, coalitionofindependence.com, and just scroll down or go to the donation page, donate, and you can donate to the COI. Every party raises funds. All right, I don't care if it's run by a billionaire. Every party raises money. And if you believe in this, put your money where your mouth is. We got to make this happen. We got to continue doing what we have to do. People are saying, oh, you need to go to this farm down, go to that farm down. All of this stuff has expenses, it has costs, and we got to get this done. So if you really believe in the movement, like we said, go to the headquarters, or you can simply go online. We made it easy. We made it easy for you. Go online, and there's a couple of ways to pay online right now. All right, and we can make commerce better. And so our vision 2030 is right online. And the good part about our vision is that you've never seen before. The good part about our vision is that our vision was the preliminary that we presented to you. And so what you are going to do is you can go there, read it, and then put your contributions in there. And I've seen people have been putting their contributions there, and Bahamians are so smart. They're coming up with great ideas. And so thank you for that. And so we're going to go through these ideas, and we're gonna put them, add them to our plan, and so we present the final plan to you. But you still have time to go there, read those, and contribute to them. And we're going to put the final plan out there. We have some more candidates we're going to be presenting to you very soon. Um, Again, we are the first and only candidate. Sorry, the only party to put candidates out there. Let me just take this call before we go on. Oh, snap. Let me see. Okay, call you live. Hey, what's going on, Nick? Right here, man. Everything blessed? Yeah, man. Safe on the road now. Yeah, man. So that. Yeah, man. God, you bring up, I raised here, thinking about everything was being said and then watching everything was being done. Um, uh, humans gotta, and we ain't talking about wake up, but it's big and on. Yeah. Watching everything, what they say and how they talks in one grade of people, but the next grade of people live in basically tax free, right? Yeah. And he was right, there's a part of our constitution that don't allow voodoo practice in this country. Yeah, that's the penal code. Right. Now, here's what I said. Before, I ain't had no leader go yet. But I mean, past the searches and stuff like that. And to me, they know what's going on in this country. Yeah. And I was sitting back thinking,
because I right where you is right now in America. I came back, but I was thinking on something. Why the Haitian don't fear Bahamian law, don't respect Bahamian law? There's nothing they fear about the Bahamas. And if you look at what's going on, that group of people just keep growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And watch this link, and I didn't even know. I was talking to one of my friends, who daddy is an FBI, and he said something really, really critical with shape to the bone. If you have to apply for something, right? Anywhere, he's thinking like even if with your tax return and things, he break it down in a way where I understand it. So I can put this to you. The Haitian people when they come here, the Haitian mothers and fathers when they come here before they give birth to a child, right? And they say we have to wait until they're 18 for them to apply. But what they applying for if their parents then break the law?
Yeah.
Make me understand it because he said that's simple. He said because that lie all down the government fee. Because if you don't, if you don't go by land, if you go by blood, you go to bring in your parents, even though you have, they say, the right to apply, you're talking to law-abiding citizens. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Here's the question I ask you. If the two parents came into the country, what is the kids then pass citizenship? No, but that question again, what is you applying for? Because when I gotta go get my let's just say when I gotta go get my blue bag, what is my passport? Don't they ask for my parents' them birth certificate and stuff like that?
Yes.
So I'm asking why we keep saying that okay, yeah, they have a right to apply. The FBI hit my boy down, he said just like this. He said the whole place corrupt and he ain't hear nobody say this yet because he paying attention to it. So when we sitting down, I said, boy, I look at it, but he said, make it make sense where what do they have the right to apply for if their parents break the law? Because based on that, they have no pathway to your citizenship. They have none.
Yeah.
So I asking you, right, who I thinking of voting for, what will be like, let's just say if you get it, or let's just say it's a white that way. Do you agree with that? Is what is the kids' then pathway to citizenship?
Okay, so let
If
me
the parents then come into the country,
let me help just solve that problem for you very quickly. We have already announced, and as a part of our immigration plan that we've presented to the whole nation on ZNS and on all the radio stations, will be no more naturalizations. If you know, hold on, let me finish. If you were not Bahamian at birth or entitled to be Bahamian at birth, you will no longer be allowed to naturalize. There will be no more naturalizations. All right. And so that yes, that solves that problem. Now you're talking about illegals. You're talking about the past now. All right. Now we're talking about the future. If no, I know what you're saying. Let me get to it. In a country illegally, you should not have a right to benefit because you broke the law coming in the country. I agree with that. I agree 100%. But problem solved because moving forward, the door is going to be closed. Door closed. So we don't even have to debate on the fine print on any of that other stuff. Moving forward, the door closed.
Let me ask you a question. Your daughter over here, I think you say right. I'm over here. Do you know everything I do, I have to pay more than the American children?
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. Why we footing the bill for foreign kids, which is the Asian Jamaican? Why are we schooling them free? And why are we giving them health care for free? And then when you see when they grow up, what they turn into be. Now I'm saying if we doing everything wrong, where the right is coming out of that? Because over here, no matter I try to return back to school, you know they even lift the fee even higher on us like that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm asking, people keep talking about we want revenue for this and revenue for that. I'm talking about our school need this and our school that. So every child that's not a Bahamian citizen, they should pay, and that's how it is running. They should pay to be there.
Yes.
Don't you agree with that? They should
Yes.
pay to be there.
And
They should.
and foreigners should pay for healthcare. We have a
They should.
we have read our immigration plan, and you're going to see that information on that in there.
Well, I got to look at that because I said I over here I looking at all this because there's something else would trigger me with this man say too. You know they looking into how close our pass is to Florida, right? He was saying they looking at because these I didn't even know we was one of a few Caribbean we could just travel off police record and go to the Americans. He said the people that using the Bahamas to get that. So he looked at that. He said we almost transporting criminals.
Yeah.
You hear the nonsense that this an FBI would say this to me. My boy Daddy.
Remember when Dorian happened, Trump was there, and Trump said that they're not gonna just let Bahamians in because there are some other people that we let into the Bahamas, and we don't want them getting into America. And so the Bahamians, they have no problem with we would be fine and dandy if we wasn't getting ourselves all mixed up. All right, but which means that they would let us just come over there because they know we don't really want to migrate. They would let us just come over there. We don't get no problems when we go over there. That's a rare thing. But because of other people,
it's a zero. He said our activities with dealing with crime. The man says it's like a 0.0 point something 9. He called out what is almost like that. But the problem with the Bahamas with the other nations, they're putting the cap on. Because I asked this question, and I asked this question, and it's a serious thing we get known of. How you could have a group of people, and he said it's just even when they cross in the border, we don't scan, like we don't have nobody know. System who coming from off the plane would go in a hostile situation and then coming back. So and they feel like you take what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not only a secret acts that they do to the Bahamian people because here's the thing. You taking a group of people who only you taking the race of a group of set of people. And here's another thing. You giving them all of the breaks in the world. Like how you could have the man say this to me, and I ask you this too. Do you think you could have a group of people that build up a special area in America and Americans, law enforcement act like these people is in there?
No.
You have the FBI, the CIA, ISIS, and they drop a bomb on that constituency. I'm telling you what America will do. So are we comfortable with a group of people that you're doing the best to protect them? And not only that, not only that, the citizens of the Bahamas will be called gigantic behemoths. Don't look at that as a worry because your leaders them making it look like it's okay. But now you have people like I say, not only challenging you, people them making money based off what you granting them because they don't pay for nothing.
Well,
I saying now they
I gotta run, but I will say this to you. There's only one solution to all of this, my brother. You gotta remove the PLP and FNM who are failing on this. You know what their agenda is.
This could be my footstyle girl in the book, but I will make sure. I like everything I lean towards you. There's one or two things which you, like I say, like I still saying, boy, you know what I mean? But I can still listen some more, and then I got four on my house. If it come down to that, then I say what I gotta say. But I still like, but everything lining up. You know what I mean? And everything's still lining up, so I can still listen, man.
Thank you. All right. Yard, like some kind of ranch, hundreds of cows on it. It's regular neighborhood, but hundreds of cows was on this ranch, just on the side of the road. And if you've driven, in different states, you've seen it, But I mean, come on, man. When are we gonna achieve or look to do more? There's so much to talk about, but there's so much to talk about. So the FNM said that by May 1st, they were going to release their candidates. May 1st. Good.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Ben.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, man, it's always a pleasure. Happy Sunday to you and your family.
Same to you, man.
Yeah, man, I was sitting down and I was listening to you, basically on Burkina Faso, Africa.
Yes.
The breakdown of this gentleman, I think he's only about 27 years old.
Yeah, he's 36. He's 36, yeah.
Okay, but anyhow, correct me. He's awesome. When I say the homes that he's building, you can get a top-end home for $30,000.
Yes.
The builder who is building the homes, he's actually building like 5,000 homes.
Yes.
Right? And they're putting the roof on it. They're doing all of the plastering. You can actually put like 4 houses in that one yard. Right? Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you actually spread the growth in reference to other people. So they don't put the doors in, they do all the plastering in and out, and then you put up the rock sheet, and then you get someone to put the windows up, and then you don't have that big financial burden. And I can see a project like that coming to the Bahamas.
Yes. Definitely.
And the reason for that, so right here on Tamarind Street, I was trying to buy a house. I talked to him for probably 4 or 5 years.
That's in Grand Bahama.
Yeah, right in Grand Bahama.
Yes.
And the jokey part about it is someone bought it, and you know them other people. And when I looked, they had temporary power. When I looked, they had bought up to the window. When I looked, they moved in. When I passed there one night, they had like 8 cars parked up.
Wow.
And I'm saying that all of these institutions, all they doing is just trying to give us enough to get the poor our neck, and we die leaving bills for our family.
That's
I just want to say to you on this blessed Sunday afternoon, so continue to do the work that you're doing, and you're doing a marvelous job from all angles, sir.
Thank you, man.
And you have a blessed day, man.
All right.
Blessed afternoon.
You too, my brother. You too.
All right.
All right. Candidates. The FNM isn't getting the traditional, hoping they can convince some of them to come on board. So, they're going to try to sell them as, oh, this is a new crew, this is a new people, we bring types, and that's what they're going to try to sell to all of you. And I want you to remember that it doesn't matter who's the leader of the party. It doesn't matter who the candidates are. The people who spend the money on the party is who control the party. And so the FNM will be corrupt no matter who is there. And so don't fall for their tricks. And this is the same thing with the Progressive Party. The people who control the money in the party have all the say. All right? And so don't mind them coming and saying, oh, we got this candidate, that candidate, oh, we need good people and this and that. No. They all become puppets and servants. Oh, no, this one can stand up. She can say, boy, she don't put up enough. When she get in there, she could do what she's told. And that's it. And so we need a shift. You cannot get new from the old. We need a shift. And someone had a very good question. I'm told on social media, I didn't see it. And they were saying, well, if the COI is different, if the F&M and the PLP is a problem, and you bring in an F&M, doesn't that mean that that now the COI is a problem? And so I wanted to put this clear understanding for persons out there. So I'm driving west, and this sun is directly in my eyes. I'm driving directly west, so sorry about that. Let me make this clear for you to understand. If I used to be a 7-day Adventist, and I decide to just loosely, nothing wrong with 7-day Adventist. But if I was a 7-day Adventist, and I decide to change and become a Baptist, does that mean that now the Baptists have a problem because they bringing in 7-day Adventists? They brought a 7-day Adventist in now, so now that's a problem? No. If someone decides that they want to change and they want to become a part of something different and something new, then they're welcome to do that. You understand the difference? And so, for example, if Aaron Lewis was an F&M, he didn't like what he was seeing there. He sees the corrupt, the captain, that the person behind the wheel is not steering the ship. All right. You see that there's a problem in that party in terms of them just looking out for the oligarchs and the rich people, et cetera, et cetera. And he decides that he want to step forward and come and be a part of this new thing that's stand up for behaviors, et cetera. That's not taking on the problem. So um, anyone is allowed to join a political party. You can't stop anyone from joining a political party. All right. And so anyone can join. But it's determined who will actually control the party. We prefer to go to the people of the party. We prefer to come to you and say, hey, you finance us. We'll have our dollar drives. We'll have our funding events because we don't want to owe anybody at the end of this. And so that's how we do it. The only people that we're going to owe anything to is the Bahamian people. And that's how we want it. So we have no interest in oligarchs, et cetera, et cetera. We want to empower all Bahamians. And that means that some oligarchs benefit too. You know, all Bahamians are going to benefit. That's black, white, Chinese, I don't care what you are. If you're Bahamian, you're going to benefit. But I believe in my people. I believe. And we need that street that benefits Bahamians. Farmers on Alcoa, farmers on Israel, farmers on Long Island. The simple things that can be done. But you are letting the politicians tell you all that things are impossible. It's not impossible to raise sheep and to raise cow and goat. It's not hard to raise pigs and chickens. It's not hard to get eggs. It's easy. Why aren't we doing it? Because oligarchs are benefiting from bringing in groceries. So they don't want you growing the groceries in the Bahamas. The government is also benefiting by getting customs money from the imported stuff. So that they just their minds are, yeah, we could kill agriculture. Because come on. You have VAT tax now. Maybe that was understandable back in the day. You have VAT tax now, so let them grow. Of course, we're getting rid of that, but in phases, but don't worry about that. Let them grow the stuff in the Bahamas, and you'll make the money on the eggs in the food store on VAT, even if it's just 5%. Come on, man. Let's fix the Bahamas, y'all. I'm sorry I can't see your comments or read it. I can only take the callers today because I have to keep looking at the road. I have my baby in about me sleeping on the headphones or on the phone or doing something like that. But thank you all so much. We're fighting for our children. We're fighting for our country. And that's all our mission is. So argument about who is perfect, who is better, who is this and who is that. I know one thing. We are doing this because the F&M and PLP have failed. It's simple as that. If they were doing what they're supposed to do, building our country, like it's happening in Burkina Faso and other nations, there would be no need for us. But they're not doing that. And so it's simple. It's very simple. We need solutions, not excuses, not these people working together to gang rape us after every election. If you want that to continue, yeah, listen, keep voting for that man. Keep voting for the people who say they can fix pothole and can celebrate when they break. They talking clinic now in St. Barnabas area. Clinic. Well, groundbreaking. Jesus, a long way to go, and I want to enjoy this beautiful site. Uh, very beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. More to come. When we call, you come. All right. Make sure you're at every event. We're gonna have some event plans coming up. Um, so just stay tuned, and you're gonna see some stuff. We got some big stuff coming up. In short, all I can see is open road. Jesus. Guess what? All the road paved. I've not experienced one pothole. Y'all see how long I've been driving? Y'all see me bump once? Not one pothole. I am in the boondocks. Not one pothole. This in the back of nowhere. And I mean nowhere. And road strike properly. The reflectors on the ground. The electricity lines are up. And this in the middle of Florida somewhere on the other side. All right. That's it. Right. And look, not a pothole. They ain't say, oh, that way out there, man. Them people out there. They don't pay much taxes. Let's don't give them roads. If you want to have people somewhere, you gotta give them roads. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Let's fix the Bahamas, man. Let's fix the Bahamas. Can we have a government that thinks about how they can improve this country every day and not just about how them and their cronies could make money and suck it from the treasury? Just for once. Y'all think we could do that? Let's do that, man. So talk to your friends and family. Just set it up so that you can ask your questions. You can come in. I'm sorry I can't see your text today, but let's fix the country, man. Go there, talk to your friends and family. When you go to work, don't let them talk about other stuff. You talk about how we need to fix this country. All right? Let's talk about how we can fix this country. And who's willing to do it? We are willing to do it. That's why we've stepped forward with our amazing candidate. No, they're not the names that you used to hear Okay, I gotta end the stream now because it keeps going up and next time. God bless.